Like it was such a old art form.
Did you ever see Jeff? I don't want to interrupt. I want you to keep talking about this going forward with this. But did you ever see Jeff?
Did you ever see You Jeff? Don't want to interrupt?
I don't know.
No, go
whatever.
ahead. Yeah. Seems like you kind of do, dude.
I've been really good this conversation. You're my partner. I've been really good.
Very proud of you.
I can't imagine how many times you've wanted to interrupt if you think you've been really good. Damn, your crew is cracking up right now. You must interrupt a lot, huh?
You were saying?
No, go ahead. You already interrupted. You might as well follow through now.
Nope.
Go ahead. Come on. You already did it.
You said,
Technically, you already interrupted.
Finish
it.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a bad interruption.
And we're back with Two Bears, One Cave, featuring one of the best roasters in the world, Tony Hinchcliffe, and it looks like YMH Studios are continuing the trend of posting episodes of Two Bears within a week of recording instead of 3 months later, even though everyone's over the roast of Tom Brady by now. But not only that, YMH Studios are also continuing to improve the podcast after their fake apology a few weeks ago, where they announced they were going to make a few changes. Even the titles are different now. For example, Tony Hinchcliffe roasts the Bears, so they're obviously trying to make their videos more clickable to improve their view count. And we also saw a couple of weeks ago when they had Jimmy Carr on straight after the Tom Brady roast, just how much better the podcast was when the guest roasts Bert throughout the episode. So it's good to see they've finally accepted reality and moved into the final phase of their show by leaning into what everyone's been saying this whole time, which, I'm not going to lie, does make it a lot more watchable. Unfortunately, their newfound awareness started to wear off throughout the episode as they started attacking their fans and blaming us for bombing at the roast. So I'll get to that towards the end where they start sniffing each other's farts. But don't forget, if you want to see my full breakdown of the Tom Brady roast, you can use the link in the description and head over to my Patreon where there aren't any copyright restrictions or censorship requirements. For now though, let's get started with a compilation of Tony Hinchcliffe roasting Tom and Bert for bombing their set at the roast. And just for context, they were discussing how difficult it was for Tony to get onto mainstream shows like the Tom Brady roast because he's been doing his own thing with Kill Tony and Hollywood have been ignoring him. A lot of the executives didn't really know who he was, and he had to jump through all these hoops to finally get onto the roast.
People hate you.
I know, it's not as easy. I know. Not all of us are fucking darlings like you fucking chubby-headed fucks. Anyway, so...
We should tell you our story. I think it'll really frustrate you.
I think you hate our story.
Oh, well.
No, I'll tell you when we're done. I'll tell you
if it's anything like the set, I probably would hate it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
you guys phoned it in like an Israeli airstrike. I'm joking. Anyway.
No,
Bert was lip syncing my set and his set at the same time.
Tell me.
Okay, anyway.
Wait.
I start showing them jokes, which I didn't do the whole time because you don't want other writers or anybody to hear any of your actual material.
Yeah.
I mean, they could hear your guys' material, but I mean, my good material, I didn't want them to hear any killer jokes I had written.
Yes. This will probably make some people crazy, maybe make you crazy. Mm-hmm. A few nights later, I was at the forum for my show.
Yeah.
Netflix executives came by that show, talking about the roast, asked if I wanted to be involved in the next roast.
Oh, wow.
And that's after that set.
Damn, they didn't even ask me that. That's
Yeah,
how
isn't that crazy?
hated I am by the industry. Because you guys went out there and did what you did. And you're already being invited to the next one.
Yeah, it isn't even booked yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking decimate, and I have no idea what's going on.
Well, we'll see if we can put a word in for you.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Hey,
I
Tony,
will send you. I'll send you a screen grab of the text I sent.
I can't wait.
Tony, you wanna? If you want, you can write for us.
So you can see there's a massive difference between Tony and Tom and Bert. Tony goes way harder in the paint compared to those guys. Back in 2021, he did a set straight after an Asian guy, and he opened with a racial slur, which ended up resulting in his agency dropping him. Obviously, he's doing fine now. He has one of the biggest live podcasts in the world in Kill Tony, and they're selling out arenas, which is wild. But even though his first comedy special premiered on Netflix back in 2016, he's mostly just done his own thing. And whatever you think of Tony Hinchcliffe, you've got to admit that he's absolutely killing it right now with Kill Tony. He said this on the podcast that he hasn't missed a Monday recording of the show in 11 years, so it just goes to show how hard he's worked to make it so big, along with truckloads of free publicity from his buddy Joe Rogan. But that's not to take away from his success. I personally appreciate anyone who's been able to carve out their own little thing for themselves, and Kill Tony's an awesome example of that. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the show myself, I can still respect what he's done for all the comedians who came up through the show and built their careers for themselves as stand-up comics. As for Bert, he's the complete opposite. His life goals are for people to cry at his funeral and wish he was still around at parties with champagne. So he basically says yes to everything he gets offered, even without knowing how much the pay is or what the terms are.
Do you want to hear about our story?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
So they called, and I guess they called Bert first. They're like, hey, we have this idea. We want to have you guys in the roast. And then Bert said,
yeah.
Without even
100%. Tom's in too. And they went, well, we haven't reached out to Tom, so you don't need to. We're in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're in. Done. Done.
Wow.
They said, well, it pays. I said, I don't care. I said, how much? They told me. I said, Tom, I get the same? I said, yeah. I said, we're in.
Oh, my God.
He called me. He was like,
hey, we're doing the roast.
We're doing the roast.
And
I
he
go,
went,
what?
absolutely not.
I said, no.
I said, Tom, light lift. I knew two things. I knew one is, and it was very clear to me when we got on the dais, is that not every football player was familiar with any of us comics. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and not any of the comics have anything that you can make fun of. I'm definitely a good target.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I know that's why I got the offer initially, was like, yo, we've seen you there's a lot to make fun of you about.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I was bringing to the table to be made fun of.
Yeah.
I didn't know how much I was going to make fun of myself authentically on accident.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's cool. I'm in for that. I'll get lit up. I'm not good at roast jokes. I'm not good at making fun of people. Mm-hmm. So, and Jeff knew that. And Jeff's like, well, we want to do something different.
Yeah.
Tom's still like, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, no.
Smart. You were right.
I was like, I don't. They're like, well, we want to break up. It was, I guess, sort of a version of what they ended up with you. They were like, we want to do something different.
Yeah,
we want to do the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and then we both. I go, you want us to both go to the podium together? Yeah. And they were like, no, just like almost like a variety piece.
Right.
Maybe a screen. At first it was like...
All right, hang on. Bert's a massive grub. That's fucking gross, dude. He put a fresh Zin in his mouth, took the old one out, pretended to place it on top of the box, and then picked it up and stuck it to the bottom of the table. He's openly admitted to doing this multiple times. It's not the first time we've seen him do it, but it's still gross every time I see it. The guy's a full-blown man-child. He said before that he leaves them around the house as well for his wife Leanne to find. I mean, seriously, what are we doing here, B? And Bert still doesn't understand that Tom keeps throwing him under the bus. He thinks it's funny how Tom never wanted to do the roast, so he takes any opportunity to tell the story about how he accepted the job before he discussed it with Tom, and Tom likes it when Bert tells this story because it makes it seem like it wasn't Tom's fault because he never wanted to do it in the first place.
So then we pitched this idea about making fun of him with like whiteness, being a psycho, and they're like, oh yeah, no one's doing that angle yet. Sent them a script. They send their script, like their punch-up script, combine the two.
Yeah, you're like, that's good enough.
Kind of.
That's great.
I'll tell you what.
No reason to work on this anymore. It's just the most watched thing ever.
First and foremost, all you should be saying is thank you, Bert and Tom. Because without us, it is a bunch of people doing the exact same thing.
Right.
Like we broke up. We definitely.
Yeah,
thank you
it was
to Kim Kardashian.
it was a comedy up until you guys started. And then you guys got to really change the tone a bit. You had to make everybody appreciative of laughter.
I had no idea. I told him this.
I'm still living in oblivion. I had a blast. I think we did great. I've not met one person that did not like what we did.
No,
I don't read comments because there's like, it's like, what are you gonna shit on someone who didn't maybe do as well as you or Nikki? That's the thing.
Right.
It's like, what is as well as you and Nikki, who were next level. It was next level.
And you have to
celebrate
realize,
if your team wins and you were on the dais, all you do is go, that was fun as shit.
It's like when you see a boxer or a wrestler attempt the UFC. It's you could be an Olympic gold medalist stand-up comedian, and you go into that world where Nikki has that much experience, and
so much.
Tom and Bert are coping hard. Every week they pull out a new excuse. And the funniest thing is the fact that whether or not they bombed is a question that so many people are asking, and they've been talking about it on every episode since the roast, means that they bombed. No one's questioning Nikki Glazer or Tony Hinchcliffe. That's because they absolutely killed the roast. And imagine making the excuse that because Nikki and Tony were so good, it made it seem like they bombed, but actually they did really well. Yeah, Bert, that's what bombing is. It's when the other acts on stage are so much better than yours and you end up looking ridiculous. But the excuses kept coming hard and fast, and Tony eventually had to jump in and help them cope.
I said to Tom, because Tom and I thought we were going to absolutely bomb. We did.
Yeah.
And we said that to each other. We're like, we're about to eat a dick. It's going to be bad. And I remember I kissed him. I said, buddy, if we die, we die together.
That's so great.
And because
That's
I'm cool
so
dying
great.
next to him.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it. He said one time, we were talking about cancel culture. I remember I don't know if he said it on a podcast or he said it to me privately. And he said, let them go after my buddy. Wait till you see what I burn down. And I was like, okay, I got that for you then. If we die, we die together. I will tell you, I don't give a fuck what anyone says on the internet. We didn't die. We had a great time. And we sat down confident. We're like, dodged a bullet. The internet's going to decide to hate whatever they want to hate. I don't really give a fuck about
You
those
guys
people.
are balling out of control.
But no,
of course they're gonna hate.
It was kind of funny though, because like even though it wasn't fever pitch, like your guys, like we're getting laughs throughout this bit.
Of course.
So we sat down. Tom Brady was like, that was great. After the Netflix people, the after party, I had to call him. I go, do you know that like online they're like, you guys ate shit? And I was like, I had no idea.
See, that just goes to show how out of touch these guys are. When you're surrounded by a bunch of fart sniffers, you're never going to get honest feedback. Of course, Tom Brady and Netflix are going to tell you that they liked it, and all your comedy buddies are going to get behind you and tell you what you want to hear. That's what being part of the Rogan circle jerk is all about. But for Bert to say over and over again that he doesn't care what people think on the internet, and for Tom to have to call him and explain that everyone outside of their inner circle thought they ate shit, is one of the biggest copes I've seen from the two of them so far. Even Tony jumped in and made the excuse that people didn't like their roast because they're doing so well. I even said it in my review a couple of weeks ago that even though I'm not a fan of Andrew Schultz, I thought his Brady roast was half decent and it made me laugh. The bottom line is Tom and Bert just aren't funny. It's as simple as that. And over the last few months, you can really tell that the noise is getting louder and louder for Bert. He's realizing that he's not as funny as he thinks he is, and his fans go to see him for the party and not the comedy.
I always go back to the writers because they're Mike Gibbons,
the
Mike
best.
Lawrence.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the two Mikes, but
Monsters.
they
best.
all know so much more than we do.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes if you don't, I mean, look, I see Mike Lawrence and I go, tell me what to say.
Yeah.
He gave me the Hitler joke on the day of.
Yeah.
He was like, Hitler stuck with his wife until the end. And I was like,
Amazing.
oh, okay, awesome. I know
Yep.
he is a better comic than I am.
Yeah.
He is just, that guy's brain's
Writer.
better than mine.
Writer. Yes.
If he took his shirt off and got drunk, he might have a better career than me. But listen, I'm likable. I get it.
Yeah.
But I think that's the problem when you get these superstars in there where they go, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm not going to listen to Mike Lawrence or Mike Gibbons or all the great writers that are attached to that.
Maybe it's a good thing that Bert's finally realizing that he's basically a circus act that people pay to see. And so he went on to tell the story about how his appearance on Kill Tony earlier this year helped him to realize that he can still be funny, even though he feels so disconnected from comedy.
It's crazy. It's crazy because it's like I feel disconnected from comedy quite often because I feel like I do this thing that I'm doing now, which isn't really adjacent to how we started. You know, It's like it's fun, it's big, and it's awesome. I just ended my tour in Austin Saturday. One night I went to dinner at Eddie V's with Leanne, and I got a message from Tony. He's like, "Come by and do Kill Tony," and I hadn't done the show since it was in the store, and I went and got on it, and I know this is going to sound crazy to people, I was very funny. I forgot.
You were.
I forgot I was funny.
And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. It's been driving me crazy hearing people talk shit sometimes, once in a while, about you, because I'm like, wait, now maybe a little bit, maybe a touch before, but late. I swear, I'm not even kidding, or it's especially kissing your ass. But you were so funny that episode in the moment, completely improvised, and it's hard for people. People would be shocked to know what comedians get there and kind of stiffen up, because I'm hosting and they want to kind of host. People want to host.
Oh, you mean like me?
Instead of, no, you're great. Instead of sitting back and just cranking homers and picking their moments.
So even I'll admit that Bert's appearance on Kill Tony was pretty funny, but the biggest takeaway for me from that clip there was just how aware Tony Hinchcliffe is about all the hate that Bert's been getting. And I don't even think he was talking about the internet. I think he was talking about having conversations with people within the comedy industry and hearing them throw shade on Bert for being one of Rogan's never been funny comedians. You could even tell how Tony was being really careful and almost stopped himself mid-sentence to make it clear that it's only once in a while that he hears these things. And this is when the fart sniffing started to get potent. Bert tried to disguise a humble brag about being a self-aware comic who's been through the trenches behind a question to Tony about how he mentors the comics that blow up through Kill Tony.
I've shared a lot of moments with you privately that I don't mind sharing. In saying that, I know your struggle. I know where you have been. I remember when the cancel thing happened. Mm-hmm. I remember when you were not the hot ticket item. Right. I remember you getting in trouble for shit you said on a plane with Joe one time. I remember all that. You were there. You were the only person that was there the day I did my first paid regular spot. You were the only you pulled me aside and you said, "I know this is a big moment for you." You brought me out, and it was, and we shared that privately. We had a shot together. So I know you. How tough is it with these kids that are doing Kill Tony that are now all of a sudden so famous doing these arena shows, and they're very talented. But how do you keep it measured for them to let them know, yo, you still just started. This is a long career. Do you talk to them and like Joe talked to us, or to keep them measured to go, hey, you're just starting and this is going to be a long career, and it's not always going to be as fire hot as it is right now, and because that's the most fascinating thing. It's
the secret sauce to my life. It's the thing that actually keeps everything in balance. I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. So as corny as this sounds, they kind of are my not children, but
sort of.
I love comedy so much. I live it and breathe it. And so my favorite thing is to tell them everything that I know. If you have a good set on Kill Tony, you get invited to 30 Austin, not open micers, but whatever podcasts. Yeah. I give them all the advice that I can, which is all trickle down from Joe, which I think goes for all of us.
Joe created this paradigm where you share all the information.
Absolutely.
If Kill Tony was 20 years ago, it would be a show.
Yep.
You're so good for comedy. The thing we love the most, and look, it all fish stinks at the head. Joe Rogan created a paradigm for us to give.
Oh yeah.
And you, man, I'm so happy for your success. Genuinely happy.
Thank you.
When you killed
awesome.
I was like, that's what
I told you. I was very proud of you, man.
Oh
very
yeah, that was amazing. You helped me settle back in. The adrenaline from that, because it was kind of 8 Mile-ish.
Yeah.
My moment, right? Just letting go and letting all the work do it for me.
Yeah.
Bert, he's turning into Brandon Schaub with the sayings, the fish stinks at the head, isn't it, bro? It's the fish rots from the head, and the irony of trying to use that saying to describe how Joe Rogan has led the way for them and helped guide them through fame and fortune, when the saying means the exact opposite. It's nothing short of brilliant. I've shown you guys so many clips of Rogan giving his buddies the worst advice, from not reading the comment section because it's all just mentally ill 7-Eleven workers, to not editing your podcast and leaving everything in there, to just going with your gut instead of listening to the feedback from the people around you. Rogan doesn't seem to understand that he is an anomaly. The things that have worked for him won't work for everyone else, and that's actually a credit to how unique he is and how he's been able to carve out out his own path and find his own loyal audience. Not everyone can do that because there's only one Joe Rogan. And again, the irony of that conversation is almost mind-blowing. Just 5 minutes earlier, Bert was saying how he doesn't care about what the internet thinks of his comedy and his roast of Tom Brady. Him and his friends thought it was funny, therefore it was a success, even though most of the people watching thought that they bombed. That is straight out of the Rogan playbook. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they did a fake apology and said they were making a bunch of changes due to the backlash they've been receiving. They said they've listened. They said they've heard us. These guys are all over the place. But as for Tony Hinchcliffe, I can't make a video about him without including one of the all-time greatest clips in podcast history. Honestly, this is in my top 3 podcast clips of all time. It's an absolute gift from the comedy gods. If you haven't seen it, thank me later. For everyone else, enjoy the trip down memory lane.
You mean the Arlington where Gringo Poppy was filmed?
Wait, is that where that was filmed?
Is it?
The Dallas Improv, Arlington?
I think so, yeah.
That's where Gringo Poppy was filmed.
Oh, no.
Dude, tough act to follow.
Pressure's on.
Oh, man. How do you know that? How do you know that was filmed there?
I was fascinated by the entire I even know where the construction paper came from.
Oh my god.
I even know who cut it out.
Oh, my God. That's so funny. Yeah, we all are. We're all very fascinated about it.
It was fascinating.
Yeah, 35 minutes.
25.
Was it really?
It was 25.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. It's like death by 1,000 self-inflicted paper cuts or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Oh man, the construction paper bit gets me every single time. That's got to be some of Steve-O's best material. Who knew? But that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out the link in the description below to my Patreon. I recently put up a video about Joe Rogan's Alpha Brain lawsuit that no one seems to know about, so go and check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, if you're not a regular of this channel, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you ended up enjoying this video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
But like, I'm obsessed with short jokes. It's one of the reasons why, Jeff and I clung together immediately. He's like, what the fuck?
Peter, make me another drink, please.